We live in an age of total tracking. Satellites map our streets down to the centimeter, and our devices broadcast our locations in real time. Finding things has never been easier. Yet on March 8, 2014, a 200-ton commercial jetliner took off and vanished. Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370 departed Kuala Lumpur for Beijing with 239 people on board. Conditions for the departure were perfect. The Boeing 777-200ER had a stellar safety record. Skies were clear, and the captain was a highly respected veteran of the airline. At 12:41 a.m., the cockpit checked in with air traffic control. "Good night, Malaysian 370. It was a completely routine radio sign-off. It was also the last time anyone heard from the plane. Minutes after that final call, the aircraft's transponder went dark. The transponder is the critical device that constantly broadcasts a plane's altitude, location, and identity to the ground. With that connection severed, the radar grid showed nothing but a blank sweep. Even more disturbing was what didn't happen. The crew transmitted no mayday and no automated distress protocols were triggered. Faced with immediate, absolute silence, global authorities logically assumed the aircraft had suffered an instant mid-air destruction that prevented the pilots from reacting. Search and rescue teams found no debris along the authorized flight path. For a modern aircraft to disappear without a single automated alert meant the standard protocols for global tracking had been bypassed. Days later, Malaysian radar revealed a different story. The plane did not explode. Instead, it executed a sharp, deliberate U-turn over the peninsula. Flying in total radio silence, the aircraft abandoned its authorized route, heading southwest toward the Andaman Sea. Then, investigators pulled the satellite logs. As seen on these control center displays, the British communications company Inmarsat recorded a series of automated handshakes, routine digital pings sent between the plane's hardware and an orbiting satellite. Those hourly digital pings proved the reality of a ghost flight. MH370 stayed airborne for roughly 7 hours after it vanished from civilian radar. While fleets scoured the South China Sea, the plane was flying in the opposite direction. A precise navigational maneuver followed by 7 hours of sustained flight rules out a catastrophic mid-air event. The aircraft was being flown. The first physical evidence didn't surface until 2015, when a piece of a Boeing 777 wing washed ashore on Reunion Island. Over the next few years, more fragments appeared along the African coast. Oceanographers used these pieces to reverse engineer the ocean's drift currents, tracing them back to their origin point. The models converged on the southern Indian Ocean. This region is thousands of miles from land, dropping 15,000 feet deep and battered by violent weather. While the debris proves MH370 met its end in the ocean, these fragments alone cannot explain the specific sequence of events that brought the plane to this remote graveyard. To make sense of the evidence, investigators stress-tested 3 main theories. The route change suggests a hijacking, yet no group claimed responsibility, and passenger checks revealed no links. A second theory proposes a technical failure. If the cabin suffered a rapid depressurization, the crew and passengers would lose consciousness, leaving the aircraft to fly on autopilot until it exhausted its fuel. However, a passive system failure cannot flip the manual switches required to kill the communication arrays, nor program the specific turn the radar recorded. This leaves the theory that the highly experienced captain deliberately hijacked his own aircraft. Investigators analyzed a flight simulator from the captain's home, looking for signs he had practiced this route. They found no clear motive and no definitive proof, leaving the theory as a subject of intense debate. Because no single theory aligns with every radar track, satellite ping, and piece of physical debris, the investigation reached a deductive dead end. The final answers to the investigation, the flight data and cockpit voice recorders, remain unrecovered in the crushing depths. Until those boxes are recovered, 239 families are left without closure, waiting for a conclusion that has been missing for a decade. The loss of MH370 forced the aviation industry to identify its own blind spots, driving a move towards constant overwater tracking and more precise ocean mapping technologies. As underwater search technology improves, the question remains, will we eventually map the floor of the Indian Ocean and find the truth, or is the wreckage permanently out of reach? Based on the silent U-turn, the 7-hour flight, and the location of the debris, which theory do you find most plausible? Share your analysis in the comments.